Last time. So let's get started. So if you have ever built a project and in a company and there you have a designer who will give you an animation file and just say, ये file code में डालो and you will do it. अच्छा दिख रहा है, looks fine, ठीक है. But when someone asks, can we make it more interactive? Can we have some states? That's where the problem begins. We have a solution for that. That's called Lottie and Rive. But people are mostly confused कि exactly कब क्या use करना और क्यों use करना. And that's what we wanna see today. So myself Anuskay, I'm a front-end developer, exploring design and engineering, and I'm building a platform called School Connect, which is for college clubs and students. We want to build an ecosystem for students so that they can have a great experience in their four-year terms of engineering college. And I also run a community called School Journey. And yes, I'm also part of React Mumbai as an organizer. So Lottie as an animation is JSON. Lottie actually built around 10 years ago by an engineer at Airbnb. What he did, he built a plugin called for After Effects, which actually export that animation as a JSON, and that it can then use for rendered for in browser or in any application. So it was very simple, right? For designer, it is very easy to just simply build animation on After Effects, and for developer, it is very, very easy to just use that JSON file in their development, and it looks good. Yes, everything is fine. But the main problem occurs when you want to.
This is the main problem.
This is the main thing. So this is the demo code of how you can use Lottie. You just have to put just few lines, just import the library, import JSON, and just everything looks good. But let's see a demo to understand it better. Is it visible? This is one of the coupon reveal animations that we can see. What it does, if you look carefully, play again. This bar, keep holding, just goes till end, and then the actual coupon reveals. This is one of the nicest animation that one can put in their website, but it's not interactive first of all. And there's a hack which you can make it interactive with Lottie. That's called frames, where you can customize frames, but it's not very good way, I would say, because as Lottie is nothing but a continuous operations of frames. It goes from frames 1 to frame 300, and it is always in order. It's not going to change, or you can't change it. So for that, if you want to make it interactive, what you have to do in Lottie, let's see. We'll have to divide frames. Like suppose this, if you can see play all, it has around 872 frames. So what I did, I divide where a hold complete. That hold is how many frames. So I can just see right, kitna frames ho raha hai. So it goes to 278 frames. There we can hack some, add some states, use states, some call events, so that we can trigger it on the when user click. This is the good thing you can do, but this is not the best thing. Why? Because you will feel a little bit jitter, and it can be a very hacky, but sometimes it feels very laggy, so that you have to use for set time mode to make it very smooth. But is there any ways, right? So what we get with Lottie, we just get it's a static file with always on repeat mode, and you can simply export JSON via body moving Lottie files, and designer animates in After Effects. And the main thing I like about Lottie is the ecosystem. Because Lottie Files, the company that built a pretty good ecosystem, people now knows Lottie as Lottie Files only. They don't know exactly who is the founder Lottie, who created Airbnb. People just know Lottie Files because they build a pretty good ecosystem. You can find a lot of thousands of free Lotties that you can simply use in your application. But what if we want something more from Lottie? That's what I gave you a solution. Like if you want to make it interaction, there is a way. That's called hacky way. You'll have to sequencize every frame. This frame goes from this and that. Then you can use states and other things to make it workable for interactivity. But is this the only way? No. We have Rive. Basically, Rive. First of all, Rive exports a binary file which is called .rive, and it is actually 10 to 15 times more smaller than actual Lottie. And the reason is it runs on web GPU, WebGL. It runs on WebGL, and you can simply use it just like how you use Lottie with a package called Rive. Rive has also a package in React which you can simply use it. But the real difference we find is state machine. It controls how responsive inputs and events work. Rive in your project, you can simply just do just like how we use Lottie. It is a package called Rive. You can simply use it. And there's something called state machine. You can see. This is very important. This is actually what we say the mixed masala of Rive. What makes it differentiate with Lottie. As I said, Lottie is just nothing but of running of continuous frames. You can't do anything. You can't make it interactive. Yes, there is a way, but there is very hacky. Most people don't do it. So we have state machine. State machine is nothing but how you can control animations through inputs and events. Like Lottie, Rive has a beautiful editor where you can build a proper workflow in the design, and you can also add events. Like you can see here, it has is hovered, clicked, and everything. This can be designed by the designer itself. So as a developer, you don't need to worry about how you can make it hover and how it should look, because all the things will be taken care of by the designer itself. What you have to do? You have to just use this Rive with the package and just run it with the state machines. We'll see this is a state machine controller where one can in the development can use it. Let me show you the demo. This is one of the demo with Rive. Earlier, what we have to do? We have to actually use frames, right, to make it interactive. But in here we have states where if I just click on it, it will hover. There is no frames, there is nothing like that, and it's only it states input. And one of the example I want to show is this. When you have to make from flip to right to flip to dark. This is actually built in Rive, and you don't need to make some tricky stuff. Just one line, and it will do it. This is one of the differentiation between Rive and Lottie. Is Rive gives you more control on your animations, on your interactions, which you can use to make user experience better if your application require. बंद कब हुआ? तो बता दिया करो। अच्छा लगा एनिमेशन है। HTML ही है. So
एक्चुअली उसमें जो केबल है ना उस पर हाथ रख रहे हो तो वो
So state machine control, as I said, it helps you to control the interactiveness of what we say animations, which you can't do with Lottie. So let's see the demo, right? I was seeing the demo. ये demo देखा आपने, ठीक है? How you can make interactive cards with the Rive. You don't need to have some animations, some frames or any other thing. When one of the example is when you want to make a theme button, switching theme with Rive. There is nothing you have to, like some people say I can code this, so code now. People don't use Rive. In production, companies don't need you to code everything. They have specific, people skills for that, and they follow those ideas. So if you are thinking like I can code it, why do I use Rive? So first get a job. That's what I would say. And the second most important feature is data mining. Like we see, like this is important. I can do same thing with Lottie. If I'm a very Lottie fan, I can hack it. But you can't hack data mining techniques. In Rive, right, what you can have real-time data to your animations. You can simply pass your API, and that animation will change based on your data. And this one of the example of Duolingo. Earlier, Duolingo was using Lottie in their whole ecosystem, but they switched. They switched the entire platform. They build their characters with with Rive. They build their animations, their leaderboards, everything with Rive. And they see that 50 times less power it uses and 50 times less storage it consumes, because as Rive is a binary file which is 10 to 15 times more less than Lottie. So data binding helps you to pass real-time data and logic, like bind colors between your application and Rive elements. You can do that with data binding, and bind Boolean values such as the scoring, so that an application of Rive work of the same value. Like we can see here, the state, the dashboards, it all comes under Rive, right? It uses Rive real-time data binding, so that these things comes with the real-time data. But it is not possible on Lottie. Right now it's not possible. So what we get with Rive? We get perfect animations and transitions, binary files, which is of course 15 times smaller than a JSON file. And Rive uses GPU, so more CPU available for yourself. And of course, real-time data animation with data binding. But there's a catch. Few things to know about Rive. There's no type safety on state machine inputs. Example, if your designer changes input names in the Rive file, there is no way that you will get to know that he changed hua. You will not even get error. So whenever you are using Rive, please add test cases a lot, and it's serious, right? Don't make it optional. Second is React Native SDK is still early. For web, you have a lot of options, but for React Native, there is still some issues that is going on, but you can check on their repo. And animation logic lives inside the binary file, meaning you have to communicate. Developer doesn't like to communicate, but you have to do it here, because unlike components, right, we can click and see what is happening, but here you can't. You have to talk to the designer. भाई इसमें क्या हो रहा है? Let me know. So you have to build a proper, what we say, workflow with your designer. So who uses what? Lottie actually used by a lot of companies. First is Airbnb, the creator of Lottie, who uses Lottie in their whole applications. Second is Google, widely used for Lottie for web and small animations. And Instagram is also used Lotties. And Rive. Rive is used by Duolingo, as I said. And Figma also uses it, for their interactive animations on their homepage. And I just got to know that Spotify also use Rive in the 2025 rap experience they built with Rive only. Surprising for me also. Notion also use Rive to build their AI assistant interactions. So all things is good. So I want to know when to reach for what. So if you want to just build a marketing page, just want some decorative stuff, just some animations, you can simply go with Lottie. There is no need to go with Rive. And you simply just need to play and pause, nothing else. But if you need interactivity, you want that something when happen on the click button, it should reflect some animations, then you can go with Rive. But as I said, Rive requires you a lot of interactivity, and it doesn't always look good on your home page, right? Because if your application doesn't rely on more interactivity, let's say example of Duolingo. Duolingo has that because the whole application based on interactiveness. But if Instagram uses, that doesn't feel much good, right? They don't will get any retention on that or any good experience. So it totally depends upon what you are using and what are your use cases. So the simple is, I would say, if the animation just plays, use Lottie. Don't need to overhead yourself. And if the animation needs to know something, use Rive. That's the whole talk really. But as I said, Lottie is by far 80% will be good for you if you just want some decorative stuff. But if you want some interactive, some state machines, you can rely on Rive, and it will not, upset you. And one last thing, the engineer who created Lottie now works at Rive. Which is of course a fun fact you can say. And you can say how things are going, and this actually offend Lottie fans a lot. That's why they are building their own state machines. They're calling it, very chamatkar kar diya. But the only thing they are doing, what we are doing with frames, right? They are doing internally. That's it. They can't, and if they want to build now, they have to, ditch Lottie, because Lottie designed that way. And of course, that's kind of. Rive, actually Rive has an inbuilt editor you can have.